young adult advocates on huge families that are here. Pretty neat to meet all of them. Yeah.
Good afternoon, everyone. We are so glad
We all need
that you all are here today. Thank you all so much for being here. I'm Pam Darnell, President and CEO of Family and Children's Place. And we are thrilled to see all of you here today for this momentous bill signing event. For more than 139 years, Family and Children's Place has led efforts in Louisville and Southern Indiana to help support families with crucial services that include investigations necessary to end child abuse, child exploitation, and neglect. Family and Children's Place helps children and their family members who are hurt by abuse and neglect, and we give them the hope and healing that they need. We are committed to helping families by going to them where they are, helping them recognize their strengths so they can have the tools that they need to build the lives that they want and that they deserve. Our proven programs and services help nearly 4,000 children and family members every year. And we're helping them as they navigate challenges of life and celebrate successes. We are honored to co-host this bill signing today with Governor Andy Beshear. We are also so honored to have with us Senator Julie Rocky Adams and Representative David Osborne. And we must thank you all for your dedicated service in this past legislative session. Thank you for your focus on significant improvements that will help the lives of so many children and families years into the future. We also want to thank the Cabinet for Health and Family Services Secretary Eric Friedlander. Thank you so much, Secretary Friedlander, for everything you do every single day for kids and families in Kentucky. We also want to thank Kosair Charities, Kentucky Youth Advocates, and so many more who work tirelessly every single day to give Kentucky children a better life. Our Kosair Charities Child Advocacy Center, just across the way in the parking lot, is one of the 5 services that Family and Children's Place offers. This is where we collaborate and partner with law enforcement, including the Crimes Against Children's Unit of Louisville Metro Police, Child Protective Services, U of L Department of Pediatrics, and the Commonwealth Attorney's Office. And this Child Advocacy Center is where we help children who are hurt by child sexual abuse and human trafficking. Our first speaker this afternoon represents the entity that actually helped make this Child Advocacy Center possible 12 years ago. Please join me in welcoming Kosair Charities Board Chair and Face It Representative Ken Reese.
With your permission, sure. I can breathe or talk with it. Pam, thank you very much. Where'd she go? Thanks for inviting Kosair Charities to the event here today. And again, congratulations on your facility. It is outstanding, and I'm sure you and your board are proud. Kosair Charities, I'm hopeful most of you know about or have heard of Kosair Charities. We are, I guess we like to think we're the premier children's charity in Louisville and surrounding counties. We're into our 99th year of helping kids in distress, no matter the cause. We are in business to help the kids. Since the beginning, child abuse has always been a function of our board and how to find ways to cope with it. In 2013, 8 years ago now, I guess, we created an entity we call the Face It, or the Face It program, in conjunction with Kentucky Youth Advocates. We decided we'd give it a 10-year try, a 10-year run, and we would commit $10 million to that program. Last year, we finished our 8th year with the program, somehow we spent $15 million. And we came to the realization that this was a major project, which was going to create everyone's involvement, hands down. Nonprofit agencies, advocacy centers, and the government. In that period, about 120 nonprofit child advocacy agents came to our aid, and we have done a lot with awareness, training, and just getting agencies involved, and we're very pleased with that work. But of course, it's not enough, and that's why we're so pleased that the governor, our legislators have all gotten behind it, and in fact, our legislators have been behind us early on. They've taken on, I think, Terry, are you here? I think we have 17 pieces of legislation, is that correct? So our guys in Frankfurt are with us, and I think once again today they'll prove that. That's about all we can do, is all we can do. It's a big job, we have a long road ahead of us, but with the help of everyone, we can do this thing. We owe it to the kids, we gotta take care of them. And Kosair will work with you all the way, so thank you. Thank you for being here, thanks very much.
Thank you so much, Ken, and thank you for all that Kosair Charities and the Face It movement both do for kids and families in Kentucky. Governor Beshear has always had a heart for children, and his commitment to community service inspired him to run for office. As our Attorney General, he fought to protect children and families, and thanks to his leadership, thousands of Kentuckians have been trained on how to recognize, report, and prevent child abuse and human trafficking. As our governor, protecting children and families has been a top priority throughout his entire administration. By ratifying both Senate Bill 8 and House Bill 262, Governor Beshear continues his leadership and his commitment to assure Kentucky's children are happy, healthy, and safe. Please join me in welcoming our Governor, Andy Beshear.
Thank you to Pam Darnell. Talk about a superhero here in Jefferson County and in the region, helping so many people. Let's give her and her whole staff a big round of applause. I want to thank everybody for being here this afternoon. It is wonderful when we have an opportunity to come together to make positive change. To know that because of our action, generations that come after will be safer. And to lift up the voices that helped make it happen, which are always folks from our community that team with their representatives and members from their government to make good things happen. I've said it before, there is nothing more important than the safety of our children. It is the most fundamental job of government. And every time one of our Kentucky or American or children across this world are harmed, it is a failure of society. We have trouble sometimes agreeing on things in Frankfurt or Washington or sometimes even in our neighborhoods. We should all agree that every single child should grow up safe with enough to eat, with real opportunity in front of them, with a world-class education. The very least we can agree on is a duty that we as responsible adults have to every single child, not just their own. I come at this not just as a former Attorney General and your governor, but as a dad. You know, my kids next week are going to turn 12 and 13. I'm about to have a teenager. But I just think about those children and, but for the grace of God, what position that they could be in. And all of us need to make sure that we are watching and that we are speaking up, that we are fulfilling our legal duty, because we all have a legal duty to report child abuse, and when we can educate everybody, and get them to internalize that duty. Just think about what we can do for the children of our Commonwealth. And my faith and my values tell me that this is something we're not just supposed to do, we're called to do. You know, Jesus said, "Let the children come to me and do not hinder them." And a lot of times we think about that as whether the disciples were physically keeping them away. When we think about abuse and neglect, poverty and hunger, these hinder our children from becoming the very best people they can be. Protecting our children was key to my work as Attorney General, where we prioritize protecting children from predators. In fact, arresting more child predators in a 4-year period than we had ever seen before. We also trained folks to recognize human trafficking and abuse, launched a couple of major efforts, including with hotels across the Commonwealth. Used that time before Derby to make sure that we could draw people's attention to it, and I will never forget the very first rescue that we made, the Wednesday before my first Derby as AG, a 15-year-old girl being trafficked right here in Louisville. It was because of a little education and a lot of courage from a hotel clerk that that young woman was given an opportunity. Yes, life continues, I'm sure, to be challenging for her, but to have a real opportunity. And we created the Office of Child Abuse and Exploitation Prevention and worked with the Child Victims Trust Fund to provide grants administered through our CACs. I know we have represented here today that do such amazing work. Let's give a round of applause for our Child Advocacy Center. And the reason that we wanted to do that is, again, the very least we can do for a child that has been violated is to seek justice for them while at the same time doing it in an environment that starts them on the path towards healing. As governor, protecting and nurturing our children remains my top priority. Last year, I signed multiple bills into law that protect children from abuse and that go after abusers. The bills increase punishments for adults who possess, view, and distribute child pornography. These bills, now laws, also extended the statute of limitations for misdemeanor sex offenses against children, something we fought for a long time. And they strengthened the background checks for employees and volunteers who work with children, something that Pam lent her voice to, along with so many of you, including Catholic Charities and others, something we had to do for our summer camps and other activities. This year, I was proud to sign legislation co-sponsored by Senator Julie Rocky Adams of Louisville. She's here today. As well as Denise Harper Angel, that increased the amount of time that incest offenders spend in prison. Before that bill, incest was not classified as a violent crime. It is. And finally, it's going to be treated as such. Kentucky now considers these offenders as violent offenders, which means those who commit such a hideous crime will stay in jail longer. We also invested $1.5 million in CARES Act funding to support resiliency and trauma-informed care focused on child care providers. And like you, I believe that there's much more to be done, both as it relates to child abuse and domestic violence. That's why I was proud of the bipartisan support to increase funding to our domestic violence centers, our rape crisis centers, and our child advocacy centers. Some great increases in this budget. Thank you, Speaker, for your work to get that done. And I believe that the bills we have today, that we are admittedly ceremonially signing today, but there's something to be celebrated. Senate Bill 8 and House Bill 263 are important steps forward to ensuring the well-being of Kentucky's children. There are many people here today who made this positive change possible, some that I get to work with every day, including Cabinet for Health and Family Services Secretary Eric Friedlander. We mentioned our Child Advocacy Centers, but we have Caroline Rochelle here with us too. So, first up, that we'll talk about today, Senate Bill 8, which includes such important steps as first, creating a uniform definition of child abuse and neglect. So, we have a more efficient system that can recognize abuse as soon as possible and take the necessary steps to get that child safe. Second, it ensures Kentuckians can have Medicaid coverage for medical evaluations conducted at child advocacy centers. It solves that funding gap and issue and ensures that we're going to be able to do what's necessary to seek justice for that child who deserves justice. This allows us to guarantee child victims have access to critical medical examinations. And third, the bill will be expanding options for youth aging out of foster care, so we can make that transition for them as smooth as possible to help them on their journey to becoming successful people. Remember, when folks go into foster care, they're our responsibility. We've got to make sure that we get better outcomes and we work for better outcomes. And oftentimes, when folks come to us, they've been harmed. Maybe they've even been broken. And it's our job to heal and to work and to consistently make sure that that is the absolute best program it can be, and to address where we see there are gaps like that aging out process. There are far too many victims of child abuse and neglect in our state each year. And it's a problem we can and we will address. This legislation today serves as an important step towards strengthening our child welfare system. One person who was instrumental in passing this legislation is the sponsor of Senate Bill 8, Senator Julie Rocky Adams. Senator, would you join us to say a few words?
Hi, how is everyone today? Thank you, Governor. Thank you, Pam. Thank you, Kosair. Thank you for everybody for being here today, because I agree with the Governor. This is a very important day, even though it's just ceremonial for Senate Bill 8. Senate Bill 8 is the result of nearly 2 years of work by members of the General Assembly. You know, one of the things, we all knew that Kentucky was on the wrong trajectory with regard to child abuse and neglect and substantiated cases. But we seem to take this piecemeal approach as to how do we fix it. Well, finally, in the 21 interim session, we said, no more piecemeal. We're going to take a comprehensive look at this. And I think one of the people who's most instrumental that I want to point out is Eric Clark. He was absolutely critical in pulling all of these pieces together. And Governor, when you sign the bill today, I want Eric Clark to be the first one, because he was awesome.
Got it.
So I think one of the coolest pieces about Senate Bill 8 is that we brought all the stakeholders together. We brought the Governor's Office, we brought the Cabinet for Health and Family Services, we brought the Administrative Office of the Courts, the judicial system, we brought the Child Advocacy Centers, we brought the Kentucky Youth Advocates on board. Terry Brooks is here, and the Voices for the Commonwealth of Foster Youth are here. And all of them had a piece in putting this together. I was just the lucky one that got to run it through the legislative process and get it passed. So, and it was a bipartisan effort, so it was really a great day, I think, for Kentucky to pull this together. The Governor mentioned a few highlights of Senate Bill 8. There's a couple other things I want to say that are included in Senate Bill 8, which are important to note. The first is that it also expands that membership of the Child Sexual Abuse and Exploitation Prevention Board. So not only are we doing neglect, but we're doing sexual abuse, we're expanding all forms of abuse underneath that board. It secures additional resources, as the Governor said, but most importantly, I think that it expands the ability for family preservation services. So we're able to connect with those families early before they end up in crisis, which is key to healing that family and keeping them whole. So what Senate Bill 8 has accomplished is that it has brought everybody together. It's a great first step. It's not the silver bullet. So everybody in this room has to stay committed to the kids of Kentucky, and I, for one, will stay committed as well. So anything I can do, you know I'm here. And thank you very much for being here, and thank you, Governor.
Once again, thank you to Senator Julie Rocky Adams. And now I'd like to invite up another very important person who made this legislation possible, Tamara Best from Voices of the Commonwealth. Tamara.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for the introduction. I am Tamara Best from the Voices of the Commonwealth. I'm the current supervisor of this young group of advocates with lived experience in foster care. We do a lot of work with the legislature in passing policies that will benefit or help Kentucky's kids. So thank you all for being here to celebrate this. But most of all, I really want to thank Eric Clark and Senator Adams, because they are always showing up for Kentucky's kids, and I really appreciate that. We appreciate you both within the Voices of the Commonwealth, but I also would like to thank all of the other co-sponsors, the legislature, and the governor for recognizing the importance of this bill. Not only has this bill clearly separated poverty and neglect, but it continues to give more rights to individuals in foster care and more opportunities for support once they age out at the age of 18. And these rights could not have been passed at a better time than now. Allowing youth to request placements where they feel comfortable and safe is a right that was long overdue, especially now that youth of all religions, gender expressions, sexual orientations, and other lifestyles can request homes where they feel celebrated and can prosper into the future generation rather than being stuck in their normal survival mode. Allowing siblings and half-siblings the right to participate in court proceedings now gives a better sense of permanency to those groups in care when sometimes their siblings are the only form of permanency that they have left. Parenting youth in care no longer have to worry that their children will be taken from them into state's custody by knowing that they now have the right to raise their child and make decisions on behalf of them. Allowing youth that extra year to make the decision to return to state's custody and receive support is going to be vital to some youth that age out of care at the age of 18 and encounter obstacles in day-to-day life. They will now be able to return to care up to 2 times between the ages of 18 and 20 and stay until the age of 21 to receive support such as financial, social, and emotional. Senate Bill 8 was truly a bill that championed Kentucky's children and families. Kentucky is continuing to take the right steps forward to make our Commonwealth a safe, sustainable, and appropriate place to raise children and families. So thank you to my colleagues who helped me so much during the busy session, as I am very passionate about policy work, and they sat alongside me to help me draft our sections of this bill with all of our lived experience combined, and they put up with my very aggressive attitude during that time because this was very important and very needed. And then thank you, all of Kentucky and all of you here today who helped us with this bill, and you continue to show up for our children and families throughout the state.
Oh my goodness, Tamara, thank you for your incredible work. We're going to start the next press conference with you. Now I'd like to invite everybody who helped work on Senate Bill 8, Eric, Tamara, any of the advocates, anybody who wants to be a part of it, let's sign the bill. Yeah, come on. So it's Tamara and Taylor and Dante and Kaylee. Congratulations. After this, if you would explain to me how you get real fast, I appreciate it. All right. Send it later. All right. Good. Now let's all look up. Here we go. All right. Congratulations. Now this one has to go to you. And I thank each of you all for all the work and courage that you showed. And family. And where is Caroline? Oh, hey, there you go. And Eric, you work for us. Sorry. Too bad. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Now you can thank Eric Clark. Everyone has to thank Eric Clark.
All right. All right. One of the great parts about today is we're celebrating the legislative session did more, and much more, even than pass this incredible Senate Bill 8. So now let's talk about House Bill 263. This legislation is changing the classification of abuse from a Class C felony to a B felony when the victim is under 12 years old. As the state's former top prosecutor, this is incredibly important for not only ensuring that people serve the time they deserve when they commit a heinous act, but also that we can better prevent those individuals from harming other people. Increasing the punishment for child abuse offenders is a much-needed change to help better protect the Commonwealth's children. The stories you hear, the stories that we prosecuted, violence, neglect, exploitation, and just plain cruelty are absolutely wrong. I remember we secured the longest sentence for human trafficking under the state statute in my last year as AG. The number of victims, what they've been through, was something that you can't forget, nor will those individuals ever be able to. You hear these horror stories coming from the mouths of children, folks that should get to have an innocent childhood, that should get to have amazing memories that don't cause fear and trauma to follow them through their lives. It's hard to hear stories like that, let alone live them. These kids deserve better than the world has given them, and all of our children deserve a better world than they're growing up in right now. These kids deserve adults in their lives that'll fight for them and their future, and for them to get the care, protection, and justice that they deserve. So now I'd like to invite Speaker of the House, David Osborne, up to say a few words. Thank you for your efforts in getting this bill passed.
Well, thank you, Governor. I appreciate you being here to draw attention to these two pieces of legislation that are aimed at protecting Kentucky's most vulnerable. Thank you for being here. And thank you for those of you that live this cause 365 days a year in protecting our children. The 2022 regular session, I believe, was one of the most successful and impactful in modern history, whether it be from passing a responsive budget that made incredible investments in Kentucky and Kentucky's future, whether it was reforming our tax code to eliminate Kentucky's income tax, making us more competitive, or whether it was protecting those things that Kentuckians value most. There's nothing more valuable than Kentucky's children for us to protect. And through all those things, House Bill 263 was very personally important to me and meaningful to me. I think that every one of us that are compelled and called into public service, Governor, I think you'll agree, do so with the Pollyanna hope of improving the lives of future generations and improving the lives of Kentucky kids. And this one got to be particularly special to me because I actually got to help one of Kentucky's kids improve the lives of Kentucky's future generations. And Cammie, what happened to you, see right there, should never happen to any child. You had a tireless advocate in Kira that worked to pass this bill to make sure that it doesn't happen to another. Cammie was just 9 months old when she was violently abused by her mother's boyfriend at the time. As a result, she was given just a 10% chance of survival. But Cammie survived. And while she will continue to carry the scars of her abuse for the rest of her life, her abuser was sentenced to less than 5 years in prison. As you know, House Bill 263 increased the penalties for those convicted of abusing a child under the age of 12. Cammie's law elevates abuse to a violent crime, which violent offenders are required to serve at least 85% of their sentence. There are two people in particular that I want to mention during this. One, as I said, is Kira Dunk, who not only was this her idea to begin with, but she got to participate in the full gamut of the legislative process. Whether it be coming up with the actual solution, whether it be writing the bill, or whether it be coming to Frankfurt to educate legislators and the public about what the bill will do. I'm so proud of what she was able to accomplish, and I can't wait to see what is next in the very bright chapter of her life, as she is certainly one of Kentucky's wonderful young stars. Also, want to give special thanks to better late than never, our House Judiciary Chair, Ed Massey. First of all, when Kira brought this piece of legislation to me, I am a lay person when it comes to the law. So the first person I called was Chairman Massey, and because of his expertise and assistance as well as his advocacy for the subject. He was able to bring bipartisan support and unanimous support in both the House and the Senate. Chairman Massey, thank you for your leadership. I also want to recognize Kim King, representative from Mercer County, another House member here that is a tireless advocate for children. Again, thank you all for being here. Governor, again, thank you for bringing attention to this, and let this serve as one of those instances where we can do great things when we work together.
All right. So, I think she got a pretty good introduction there from the speaker. Our last but maybe most important person who's going to come up and talk today is Kira Duncan. She is a 7th grader from Oldham County, and she is one of the reasons we're here today to sign this bill, Cammie's Law. When Kira's friend Cammie became a victim of child abuse, Kira took action. She helped draft legislation, testified in front of legislative committees, and pursued her goal until it was accomplished, and I know everybody is proud of her. She's an amazing role model. You know, especially over the last 2 years, I've stopped saying a term, and that term is young leader. You are just a leader, and we're proud of you.
Thank you, Governor. It is an honor to be here today. I'm happy to see Cammie, Kylie, and their family at this event, as Cammie has been my inspiration every step of the way. No one should ever have to go through what they went through. The struggle continues to be my guiding light to help create change. Cammie's Law is only the beginning to help raise the standards for the well-being of Kentucky's children. It is a true blessing to have such a caring and passionate public servant like Speaker Osborne representing our community. He has been an invaluable mentor over the last few years. He, along with Chairman Massey, sponsored Cammie's Law. Mr. Massey's wisdom and expertise in criminal law were essential in getting this bill passed. It has truly been an honor witnessing the dedication of these two men. This is a proud day in Kentucky, but we cannot stop here. We must keep working to create a safer world for children across the Commonwealth. Thank you.
For this bill signing, I think would Cammie's family like to come join us first? And Kira, if you'd like to come on up, all of our legislators that helped pass this, and anybody else. Let's make sure we get these two families in. Our members over here next to you. That sound good?
And some of y'all can go over on that other side. Let's get some in.
We can pull more over here. Yeah. Good.
Yeah.
There you go. Oh.
Cam, there's an open spot right there, right behind the governor.
That's for you, and to help everybody else too. And this is the law you taught us. And you'll find it. All right. First we'll look up. And then here. to everybody here. We'll pass them down. There you go. I'll tell you what. We're going to distribute over here. We want everybody to have one. Now, when you sign, when it comes along, you're going to have to follow. Okay. Thank you all very much. Thank you.
Excuse me.
So I want to thank everybody once again for being here. Thank you to the advocates. Thank you for the professionals that work every day. Thank you for the legislators that are here. Representative King, for all that you do. I think today shows that we can get good things done and that we can protect the most vulnerable. Thank you all very much.